I'm going to start this live. Yay! Dang it, low network connection. Oh well. It just won't be live. Okay? We good? Mm-hmm. Alright. Yay! Dang it. If you go live now, your entire video will be posted as a live broadcast. Should I ignore that?
Okay, moving.
No.
I think we're live. Alright, so today is June 5th, 2018. Now, my name is Davina Stewart, and this is
Michael Tekhen Strode.
Yay! And we are somewhere in the world. We're in Chicago, Maine. At this wonderful place. What is this place called?
Sacred Keeper Sustainability Lab.
Sacred Keeper Sustainability Lab. And why are we here?
We are here because we are just wrapping up maybe a 6-week session of Cooperation for Liberation, and we wanted to do a table talk that would reference or talk about the text that we've been reading and stuff.
Absolutely. And we want you all to read, or get excited about cooperatives, because we're excited about cooperatives. So I'm not gonna lead this. I'm gonna dance with you. I'm gonna sort of like ebb and flow with it, because there's no. We just decided like 10 minutes, short and sweet, just let people know what's happening. So
Yes.
so the first book that we read, yay! If you can see this, Collective Courage.
By Dr. Jessica Gordon Nembhard.
This is like the, well, I won't be sacrilegious, but like the Bible of cooperatives for Black people in terms of the research. Right?
Yes.
So this is what people, wherever I go, this is the book that people refer to. Like, you have to read this book, and part of it is it's so well researched.
Yes, absolutely.
And she talks about just the legacy of cooperatives in the United States, starting since we got off the boat, essentially, in terms of like how we relate and how we survive and how we come together to be economically and spiritually viable. Is that you think that's?
That's the critical thing is that, it's a compendium of all of the information. So all of this research has stuff that's been existent, it's been out there in the world, but to have someone come together and collect all of that information and then not only collect that information, but then use this as a leveraging tool so that she can then go out and compel people to think about what are the ways we can use cooperative strategy in the modern day. I mean, it's just a tremendous text in that reason.
It's really well researched. And for me, the historical part of it, like I'm like, okay, has anyone done this before? Yes. Were they successful? Yes. So I feel like people will do things if they know that it's not a fool's errand, right? Like, oh, we've done this before. How can we replicate? How can we adapt and adjust the ideals and the concepts to our present time? So she does a really good job from going from the historical perspective, bringing it up to present day.
Yes, and definitely, going through the research and saying, so the thing about research is sometimes research is just data, so sometimes it's just facts. So then going from the facts to get to the human story, to the human element, what is the story that was in the letters? What is the story that, that they talk about when they're not in front of people, when they're not presenting their best face? So going and getting back to those challenges and getting to those struggles, but then, understanding through those challenges and those struggles, what are the successes that grow out of that, So she definitely, does a good job of getting that human story.
So let me ask you this. So, because we were humans in this room for 6 weeks, and we're all reading the book, having different responses to it. What was your human response to the book? Like the data, the stories, the real, like when you were reading, what was your human response?
Well, interestingly enough, I first encountered this text. I encountered this text during part of my sort of 7 or 8 year stint, really doing deep work with the Healthy Food Hub around, operation strategy and around, delivering food systems inside, Black communities on the South and West sides. So, in terms of encountering the challenges in this book, my human response was a bit muted to the text because I had already been engaged with work that was already challenging, that was already frustrating, that was really, challenging me to figure out how to get my best self to show up when, the work was not necessarily yielding the results that I had anticipated. So, so the response to the text, was fairly muted because I recognized that this is what it looks like, So for me, that was my sort of immediate human response to the text. It was like, really, really great to have this research, really, really great to have this backstory, because now that I have the backstory, I can present it to people who are confronting these challenges and say, hey, I know it feels really hard, but look, we've done it, we can do it.
So you said 7 years, like you've been doing this for like this cooperative food hub thing for like 7 to 10 years in Chicago?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I think 2015 we were in Gare, I'm from Gare, and we were thinking about establishing a freedom school. And so cooperatives came up. And I was like, hey, that's the solution. That's what we need to be doing, da 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 da. But organizing people. People have all kinds of ideas. You're like, let's follow through. And you're like, ah. But so when I came to the book, from the different end, like I'm a student of history, right?
Yes.
So I know the fuckery. I'm like, okay. So for me coming in, I was like, ooh. Every time we do something, I'm Black Wall Street, I'm thinking like when I say they, white supremacy, terrorism, will destroy it, right? And I'm like, I don't want to build something that we're surrounded kind of thing. And I think as I read this, true to life, she talked about those stories, but she also talked about the fact that, sort of like what you said, what else are you gonna do? You still have to fight, you still have to persevere, you still have to build something else, or you'll just wallow in despair kind of thing. So that was like, yes, Davina, we understand that what you're dealing with politically, what you do systemically, that's real. The barriers, the obstacles are real. But the community, if you could build community, like, I will say this, because I don't know you all, complete strangers, and I felt so good to be in a room full of Black people who are on the same page. Like, we want to build something for our communities. We want to do something different, right? And I was like, and I've been looking for this forever, like, ever, like, since I moved back home in 2008. So that, to me, the book, in terms of, yes, that's what happens, but we can do something different. But then walking into a room of Black people who have a different, and hopefully they'll do their own videos, talking about what they're doing in the city of Chicago, but that that I'm not alone. That's what I felt like. I didn't feel like I was alone. And I felt like the people who are here are going to go through and actually build something. They're going to create some sort of co-op that they came into the room for. So I think the study group idea was good because we were just throwing ideas on the wall. We were trying to figure out like how do we fit into this? What can we do here in real time to help our communities? So for me, that's what this helped me. A lot. Like, you would say something, I'm like, oh, this is what I can do at home. Yes, I can start here. Like, this is gonna be great. You know, like, we don't have any, because my question, what do you do with no money? You know? And so I think for, because you could talk a little bit about this, the precursor, you cola nut, is that what you?
The Cola Nut Collaborative.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're talking about time banking. Is this the same thing?
Yes, so the Cola Nut Collaborative, a time bank based in Chicago, it is founded in February of 2017. It's an offshoot, actually, of the Black Oak Center for Sustainable Renewable Living and my work with the Healthy Food Hub. So for me, all of these projects are already interlinked. You know, so what Dr. Nembhard often talks about is that we really need a system of interlocking, interlinked cooperatives that are all supporting one another, because it's not like any of these efforts can stand alone. So, you know, my work with Black Oaks and with the Healthy Food Hub rose out of this notion of Black Oaks. A key principle there is really about community resilience. And what community resilience looks like is, can the community maintain its essential character and identity when it's faced with trauma, when it's faced with challenges? So to the point, you know, if you're encountering resistance from, you know, white populations who do not want you to rise politically or economically, what are the ways that you can absorb that challenge or deflect that challenge and still be able to stand, to rise, to move, and to grow forward? So yes, time banking, trading time as a currency, being able to map out the skills and assets that exist in a community, being able to map out the needs that exist in communities, and then doing that social matchmaking in between those skills and those needs, and using that time as it's really, time is it's a trick, right? Effectively, what we're trying to do is we're trying to incentivize and trick people into saying, hey, I really do need something, but I'm scared to ask somebody directly. So here's this time bank that I can put the need out there, and then I can tell people, hey, I need this thing, I have time credits to offer you, and so here's a way to ask that doesn't feel like I am latching on and, you know, drawing someone down, but it's saying, I have something to give, I have these time credits, and the way that I earn these time credits is because I gave something to someone else. So all this social participation, incentivizing people to participate in social spaces. And the way that that connects to cooperatives is really that one of the things that, you know, Dr. Nembhard talks about also in the text is just that one of the initial challenges is how do you establish a cooperative endeavor with no financial capital? Well, many of these organizations, you know, I mean, they were coming out of slavery, they were coming out of Jim Crow, so they didn't have financial capital.
Right.
So how do you draw upon this community capital, this social capital, to actually build something up, to lift something off the ground so that it can then stand on its own and then start to replicate that process in sort of a social franchising model?
Yes. So for your cooperative, with the time banking, so I want to say it was 2010. Something happened in Gary, and we had a meeting. They were trying to get GEO. There's a company building prisons, and it's like this was for ICE, right? So they're using our airport to deport people, and so, you know, people rallied and everything. So after we shut ICE down, that fact they would not fly people outside of that airport. People got together like, what's next? And so one of the ideas was like, hey, you should the time banking thing. But I didn't think about the shame of like needing something and having that be the backdrop of like asking for what you didn't. I didn't think about it. I thought about, for me, you all have skills. Everybody in the community has skills.
Yes.
What are they? So I approach it from like, what can you do? What can you bring to the table? And then we all can share like a buffet kind of thing. And then that way of reaffirming people like, we need you. Like at the end of the day, you are a vital, important part of the community. So I was thinking of time making in that way, of like reminding people that you are an asset and that the things you can do, it's not money, it's your time. Time is precious, right? Time is precious. So if I did something, the exchange. So for me, essentially, it was like reminding people. So when I came here, that was reaffirmed. Like there is no startup capital, but there is, for me, it's important to build community.
Yes.
If I don't know you, if I don't play with you, when the shit hits the fan, I'm not really 100% sure that you're going to come to my aid, necessarily. And what we do, we're reactionary, right? Like a disaster happens, we're all helping each other. But then when that disaster goes, we go back to our little enclaves. Well, no, I want to build something prior to the disaster.
Yes.
I want to build community. And so I think the time banking, from being in this group, that helped me reaffirm the idea of like, okay, you don't have any capital. You do want to reaffirm people's human capital, right?
Yes.
Their time. And have them come and do things that we need to get done, and then begin to introduce this idea of the business, because cooperatives are businesses,
Yes.
right? And you will need capital, but you will need people to come with their skill sets and willingness to take the time to really sit. Because the book opens up with, it's a funny quote, from Gary, and there's a, what do you call it? There was a cooperative in Gary, Indiana, and it was a grocery store. And this is a quote from one of the founders, and it's chapter 4. We believe that the most important single factor in our progress in Gary so far has been our educational program. We realized from the beginning that if a cooperative business were going to help our people in a large way, they must study its fundamental philosophy, ideals, and history. And that was written in 1940. And so there was a co-op in Gary, it was thriving, you should totally read the book. And so the idea of studying, you know, like we just don't jump in and do what you think I think it might be a good idea with no basis of knowledge. And I don't want to reinvent anybody's wheel. I just want to add my scope. And so the bulk of this book is about people getting together in small groups, studying what needs to be done, studying other models, like you said, figuring out what do we need in the community. And I think in this meeting, you all asked a really good questions. I'm like, what's the questions I should ask? Like, what's the question, people? I need 5 questions to ask people.
Yes.
What do you mean? And one of them was, what is missing from the market? What is the market not meeting? What need in your community is the market not meeting? And can you all in your community meet that need? So I was like, ooh, snap, that's brilliant. It's a basic question. But I was like, yeah, okay, like what do we need? And so that was amazing for me. So being in a community with people thinking about these ideas, people who have experience like you all have, and can speak to your own challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the frustration, but the long haul. Like you've been doing something that's frustrating, but you've been doing it for 10 years because it's worth it, I assume.
It's worth it for me because of what you essentially are attempting to do. What is your end goal? For me, the end goal is always how do we build something that the community can then assume control over, so that the community then has agency in some aspect of its lives that it may not have agency in now. With the Healthy Food Hub, the end goal and the objective there is that the community, the various communities that we serve, we're all lacking in spaces to purchase fresh produce, and so how do we actually deliver the community a model that presents them with the opportunity to take agency of some element of their community, and so the challenge and the interesting thing is that the way that this actually relates to the study and working group is that we had tried for some time to actually develop the Healthy Food Hub into a cooperative space.
Oh, okay.
And in terms of trying to figure out how to move that space, the challenge was the familiarity with what the principles of cooperatives are. There's no rigorous cooperative development in Chicago. There's no rigorous sort of community education spaces in Chicago. So they're not spaces that are actually doing the type of intense and rigorous sort of investigation of cooperatives that is necessary to ramp people's skill level up, so that then when they encounter someone saying, hey, I want to build a cooperative, educational program. I want to build a cooperative artistic gallery. I want to build a cooperative food space. There you go. I mean, whatever the market is that the need there is they're trying to meet. When people say that, we want people to be prepared to actually jump in and say, okay, you know what, I'm actually familiar with cooperatives. I've been studying this a bit. I've been becoming, more informed about it, and I think I can actually help you. I think I can link you up with, groups of people that will actually be able to help you move that idea forward.
Okay, that's a good end goal. Yeah, I don't really have another question. I do have a question for people out there though. So you said that there's no really big space where we can learn. There's no center where we can go and learn about co-ops in this space. But where do you live? Do you know if there are co-ops in your communities that are active? I know in Philadelphia, there's the Philadelphia Alliance of Cooperatives, and they actually operate, like there's a collective of co-ops, and there's an umbrella organization, and they do this kind of training that Tech is talking about in terms of telling people this is what, the legalities, this is what you need to do for a business plan, and, having people in the space so that they walk away with that training to then go forth and build their own cooperatives kind of thing. So they are functioning in that way. So what are you doing in your community? Like, do you know of any co-ops that are active? Do you have an idea about a co-op? And are you willing to, and let's be clear about what co-ops are, because I don't think we've defined what those are in terms of how are they different from, is it an entrepreneurship? Is it a business? Is it, what makes it different from another model?
What makes cooperatives different from other business models is effectively that what you're trying to establish, and certainly Dr. Nembhard, and we've done this in the study group, goes in sort of into understanding that there are a lot of different things that are called cooperatives nowadays. There are worker-owned cooperatives, there are consumer cooperatives, but fundamentally, the core, the essential of cooperative is the worker-owned model, which is that how do you actually establish something that is operated by or owned by the employees who are in the operation, that has a sort of democratic process, that has consensus decision making, that really has non-hierarchical sort of leadership processes. So those are all some of the key principles of cooperatives, and there are 7 Rochdale principles that people generally refer to. But the core essence of it is that you have workers who are operating the endeavors that they're employed in.
Yes, and so for me, the thing is, as an independent artist, when I work, I generate my own wealth in the sense of I make work off of my artwork and send it into the world kind of thing. And so working as a collaborative, it's like you own your own labor. You decide what's going to happen with your labor. You decide in a democratic process what's going to happen with what you created, how it gets out into the world. No, you don't have a boss. That was my name. You're not the boss of me? Oh, that was up. Okay. And that we dialogue and we figure it out. And that's, to me, the appeal is also, Because I have to remind people, you bear solutions.
Mm-hmm.
You are a creative person. You can solve your problems. And so I think cooperatives remind us that we have the responsibility to be self-determined. You have to figure this out, right?
Yes.
But you trust that you and your cohorts will come to the table to create the best possible solution for what it is that you're creating and for the community. So that to me is the thing, that's the thing that really kind of appeals to me, like working in concert with people, but it is for the greater good, it's for the collective, and that we decide. We decide. The time we get to work, what we sell, what, you know, the price points, all that stuff, that's something that we decide to do. And there's nothing like having control and agency over your life, you know? So people go to work and I hate my job, I don't want to do this. Yeah, okay, well, let's do a co-op so that you love what you do and what you do is necessary. And the people that you're working with, like you appreciate, you value, and respect them, you know? And it's not, let's not get it twisted. We're still humans, right? So we still tug, but it's, at the end of the day, we come in knowing at the table that we're trying to do something that's going to benefit not just my profits, not just what we do. It's all of us. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think the key axiom that, you know, Dr. Nembhard often cites is that, you know, with cooperatives, with standard, you know, business practice, you know, labor is in service of capital, and in standard cooperative practice, capital is in service of labor. So, you know, effectively, you know, the folks who are laboring in the space are served by the capital that is available in the space.
Yes, absolutely. So my joint is dying. So I don't have. I think the last, because you said you wanted to pull quotes and stuff. Are you cool with this?
You know, yeah, I'm actually fine. I may go and do one reference, and let's see which reference I want to touch upon. Back to the Future. History has shown that cooperatives are an important strategy for economic collaboration, racial economic independence, and community well-being. They develop leadership capacity and promote civic participation, combining Du Bois's concept that through economic racial segregation, African Americans could create and position themselves at the cutting edge of new economic relationships and formations with the notions of a solidarity economy among subaltern populations, creates a powerful tool for analyzing the accomplishments of African American cooperatives and their potential for future growth. And you know, that's you know, it comes under the heading of Back to the Future, which effectively is just, you know, going back and, you know, sort of the Sankofa principle, you know, go back to bring forward, you know. So I mean,
you know, I don't know if you remember in the book, you just reminded me of something that there's some work around how Black people didn't trust each other. And so they hesitated to do the co-ops because they had been fed the lies of like, we're not successful, blah, 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 smacking. I'm like, huh. And so for me, because that still kind of operates today, right? Like you don't want to Black-owned businesses, you don't want to spend your money there, and you're just like, what is happening? And it's a myth because we do know how to run businesses. We can be trustworthy.